Lucky Lefty podcast. The Onora boys are in the building. I am your boy Shaun Davis, SD, two mics, the original Lucky Lefty himself, Malik Zaire. We are brought to you by Onora Whiskey, OnoraWhiskey.com. It is that premium American whiskey, OnoraWhiskey.com. And if you're going to drink, by all means, make sure that you do so
responsibly.
You gotta do it responsibly. As always, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube. Follow us, Lucky Lefty Podcast. All of our great content over at CFB Nation in conjunction with Irish Breakdown. You already know it's the Lucky Lefty Podcast. We spin it different. And we're going to spin it incredibly different today. Two great guests coming up. Former Notre Dame linebacker Corey Mays is going to join us at the halfway through the show. Tomorrow, don't forget, transfer nickel safety from Oklahoma State. Now, the newest addition to the secondary, Thomas Harper, joins us tomorrow for the Culture Friday. I already told him we need to know what he's listening to. We're going to get into it.
He didn't ask for no NIL deal.
No, he did not ask for any money to come interview on Lucky Lefty. You know what I mean?
See, Caleb Smith and Thomas Harper are probably going to have great seasons because they did it the right way. Came to us first.
They let you know where the head's at already.
Yeah, right? they Notre Dame. They in there.
Absolutely. Today, Left, we have a lot to talk about before we even get to Corey Mays. The Chicago Bears have a new president, and that means there's a void at the top of the Big Ten. We'll talk about that. We have yet to dig into the way too early top 25 released by ESPN. We're going to talk about that as well. But before we talk about those things, we need to get into a couple of comments that were left based upon the show yesterday. We greatly appreciate. We told you we respond to all comments and questions that you guys post on our videos because we appreciate you. It's because of LL Nation that we're continuing to climb, and the climb to 5,000 is real. We appreciate you. Just to reiterate, someone asked if Justin Scott had been on campus. Justin Scott has been to the Notre Dame campus. He's been there 3 times. And, hopefully that makes you feel better about where Notre Dame stands in light of what we reported on yesterday. Now, moving on from that, one of the other comments, of course, we fully expected this, that someone would come back and question us. And, someone said we were being a tad bit disrespectful. Look, I told everybody yesterday afterwards, I kind of apologized on the Lucky Lefty Podcast Twitter page, Left. I was grumpy yesterday, bro. I probably needed a Snickers. I probably went a little bit too hard on certain subjects yesterday. I kind of admitted that during the show, and I definitely knew after the show, there was a lot of frustration, right? Drop the missus off at 3 a.m. She doesn't arrive and get her luggage in LA until 9 o'clock my time. So that was her whole day in the airport. And of course, I'm stressed because I have to make sure that she's good. And if she gets there, her luggage is not there. That's a whole nother story. Now I'm sending money to make sure she can go get new makeup stuff and everything, because that's her purpose for being out there. It was a stressful day, right? But basically, someone said we were being disrespectful to one Isaiah Foskey. And maybe other people are prisoners to stats. I'm not a prisoner to stats. I don't think you're a prisoner to stats as well, right? No. Stats don't tell the entire story, right? And someone posted, how they held Ohio State, to 20 points and this, that, and other. All I know is that the ball was on the 4-yard line after a punt, and Notre Dame was up 3.
Up 3.
And Ohio State ran the ball down that defensive line's throat all the way down the field. Now you tell me who was on that defensive line. I don't care about stats. I care about coming through in big moments. Coming through in big moments. Because we're going to talk to Corey Mays in a little bit. Corey Mays laments over the fact that 2005 team he was on was 2 plays away from being perfect. 2. 2 plays kept them from having a perfect regular season. 2 plays. That's it. That's how small the margin is, bro. And that's why your big-time players have to come up at big moments and key points of the game. Never our intent to disrespect the all-time sack leader at Notre Dame. But that doesn't keep us from pointing out the obvious in key moments in big games. We have the right to say, where were you? Notre Dame fans should be willing to say, man, what's up?
Yeah.
Where were you at? And if you're a prisoner of the stats and you don't want to ask those tough questions, then, hey, we don't know what else to tell you. But we're not that podcast, man. We're going to keep it a buck and spin it different. That's what we do. That's what we do.
Wasn't lying. I mean, it's definitely what we said about Falsky merited some heavy truth. And we didn't discredit his accomplishments. In fact, we used the accomplishments to say where was the action that caused the accomplishment. If you doing the greatest sack record of all time at Notre Dame, your impact in big games should reflect that.
Have to be there.
Now, if he wasn't the greatest sack leader of Notre Dame and Justin Tuck, who held it for a long time, rightfully so, we still know Justin Tuck for what he did on the field. But for some of Falsky's play was very forgettable. That's why I was like, dang, you got 25. I didn't even know. So that's the truth. Now, he's the greatest sack leader of all time in Notre Dame. He'll be 30 years out. He can say that, But you can cut on that tape and say, okay, if you had the greatest sack leader on your team during this period of time, why y'all not playing in the championship? Why y'all not winning it all? Y'all got the best sack leader in the school history. But that wasn't Will Anderson. During that same time, that same era, who had every accolade and award you can get and a couple rings.
Mm-hmm.
That's the difference. And I don't even know if he's the all-time sack leader over there, but it don't matter. He got everything else.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all we want, because that's what it takes to get to that next level.
Lucky Lefty podcast. That's all we're saying, dude. If y'all can't accept objectivity in a podcast, I don't know what else to tell you. It's not about blame. It's about looking at the game and stating the obvious. Yeah, if you want a podcast that's fearful to speak the truth about certain situations, I don't know what to tell you. But we're going to speak the truth, our truth. And if you disagree, by all means, we love disagreements. We love it. We love different POVs. But we're not about to back down. We're not doing that. We're not doing that. Not doing that. Like I said, bro, you can't run from the fact. I can personally, the more I thought about this let's go to the Marshall game. Notre Dame takes the lead. What happens? Marshall doesn't drop back and throw the ball. They run the ball right at that defensive line. Matter of fact, they ran directly to the left side, his side, and broke a big run.
That's when they was putting him on the ground, had him like this on the ground. I remember tweeting about it.
So we're just going to ignore that? Yeah, you talk about Tyler Buckner, his interceptions. I agree. But we're going to ignore that? We're just going to ignore that. We're just going to ignore that USC in the second half just lined up with Austin Jones and just ran the ball. We're just going to ignore that? We're going to ignore the fact that BYU got back in the game by running the ball. We're going to ignore the fact that all of that greatness on that D line gave up 130 yards per game on the ground. We're just going to ignore that.
Per game.
You can talk about points. They didn't do this, they didn't do that. That's not a championship line.
Not 130 a game.
They were not a championship defensive line. You can talk points all you want to. If that defensive line had ran up against Georgia, or any other top offensive line, it would not have been good. And people, look, we really try to open up the culture of Notre Dame for the fan base to be able to say, yo, speak the truth.
Point out
the things that no one else will say.
We are the Chicagoans to Justin Fields.
Yes, at the gas station.
Justin Fields, we love you, man. You killing it, franchise QB. We going to the top. Yes. However, you just get your accuracy right.
Exactly.
You gonna be right.
That was the best, bro. That was the absolute best.
And we just guys at the bus stop. We just happened to see him at the gas station, run over there. Hey, let me get a picture autograph. But hey, that passing, if you could just in the hands, like right here, hit him with one of them, just hit him right here. Like he. But I'm sure Justin appreciated it though. Because he knows that the fans are real. What you think Jalen Hurts is getting in Philly? They probably keeping it super real over cheesesteaks. They making this cheesesteak, the dude making this cheese. Hey, I love how you running, Jalen, but we need that passing for the playoffs.
Hey, man, you got to stay healthy, bro, because we can't be doing this Gardner Minshew.
You running real hard, man. Get down sometime. Hit him with the fall sometime. Slide. You slide. You know how to do that.
Facts. And that's all we're saying, man. That's why we started the podcast, because we wanted this atmosphere for Notre Dame fans, college football fans. Speak your mind, man. If you see some things we don't see, man, let us know, because we might miss some things.
We might miss something.
But that's why we have LL Nation, man. Because they keep the chat lit, full of information. Absolutely. Absolutely. You have to love it. But don't go out there preaching fallacies. And nobody hating or disrespecting Isaiah Foskey. We love Isaiah Foskey. We're just not we're not scared to pull up on him at the gas station and tell him the truth.
In his nice Benz and his Rolex.
No, we'll pull up on him. We'll pull up on him. If I see him in South Bend, hey, boy, hey, 7. Hey, we love you, boy.
Got your jersey hanging up still.
You do know DeJuan Jones was handling you, though. Went to the league off that tape. I mean, yo, and like my boy MW Jr. said, JR said, that's the Chicago way, bro. That's the only way we know how to do it. That's the Chicago way. That's that barbershop talk, bro.
Yeah.
Lucky
they probably tell Jordan, hey, just a couple more points, Jordan. Sure. I love your shoes though, but man, just follow through.
Yeah. So the Big Ten has to look for a new commissioner. And the Chicago Bears have a new president. Kevin Warren is going to be the new president of the Chicago Bears starting April 17th. And a lot of people are happy in a sense because, people blame Kevin Warren for trying to cancel the season. Kevin Warren works for the presidents of the universities, and you literally had presidents and head coaches at those universities having public spats during the COVID year. Kevin Warren did what the presidents asked him to do. When you take a job like that, you already know going in, you're going to have to eat some crow in some certain situations, bro. You just have to take some hits. The same thing, Roger Goodell. He has to take some hits for that fat check. He works for the owners. I truly believe Kevin Warren got tired of being put in that position. But his legacy will be the new TV contract for the Big Ten. And
Bring in SC.
Absolutely. His man, under the radar response to the SEC, Oklahoma, and Texas, snatching USC and UCLA. That's his lasting legacy as a Big Ten commissioner. So overall, he did a fantastic job. But knowing the people that I know locally that know him, some people don't know that he's a Notre Dame alum. So knowing the people that know him locally, he's a really good dude. And he did a really good job. And I think he was looking forward to getting out of the politics of college football and kind of getting away from that and going to a situation where he really was going to have some power and some say. And so ultimately, that's why he made the move. So the Big Ten will go ahead and look for his new commissioner. The search has begun. The search began at the end of 2022. They knew this was coming. And I don't know. I'll be interested in seeing how things happen because they said the talk amongst those coaches and administration at the national championship game, two of the biggest talking points were Kevin Warren getting ready to leave because people knew that it was happening. And the news broke maybe 2 weeks ago in Chicago that he was a top candidate. So it's not like a shock here in Chicago. And the fact that Jim Harbaugh is probably leaving Michigan. Those were the two main topics, right? And Jim Harbaugh leaving Michigan, it has huge ramifications. I mean, we just talked about Justin Scott yesterday, and if you missed that, Apple Podcast, Spotify, go check it out and download it. Leave 5 stars. We appreciate it. If he leaves Michigan, it definitely impacts Justin Scott's recruitment immediately. So we stand back and we'll watch as everyone else watches and listens to see what happens. But dude, Jim Harbaugh, it's up to him.
I mean, if he leaves, it's hard to, like we said, that $20 million if it's from the Denver Broncos a year is,
bruh,
you got to go.
20 mil is
that's a
lot of money, brother.
The question too is, does Michigan go back to the Stone Ages if Jim Harbaugh leaves?
As far as finding a coach?
As far as being at the level that they finally got to, are they going to be a 7-5 team?
J.J. McCarthy's. No, they have enough talent coming back next year, and the schedule is always terrible. So,
but the recruiting, unless they get because you got to think, who are you going to replace a Harbaugh with?
But they recruit to their style, though. Which is see, this is the thing. They don't recruit to win a national championship, but they do recruit to win the Big Ten. If you understand what I'm saying. Like, they recruit to beat Ohio State.
Right.
They recruit to a style of football that is the kryptonite to Ohio State. And Ohio State is the team in the program that has to respond to Michigan now. But if they respond directly to Michigan,
They lose out on that
They lose out
championship.
because they're
Chasing Bama.
honestly, from a talent standpoint, they're the closest team to Georgia and Alabama from a talent standpoint. The style that Michigan plays, that's not holding up against Georgia.
No.
You can't. You're not about to line up and ground and pound Georgia.
No.
So that's an interesting question, Left. That's an interesting question. It's a very interesting question. I think the biggest thing for me, if I were part of the Michigan administration, we would have to have a serious talk. Like, man, we're not doing this every year, bro.
No, seriously.
Like, tell us if you seriously see yourself being in the NFL once again. And if so, give us a timeline, a serious timeline of when you think you might be ready. Or if there's a particular job that you're waiting for. Let us know. The Colts job is out there. He was a quarterback for the Colts.
Yeah.
Could he go there? The rumors about Denver. The opportunities are there now. I saw someone in the chat say he's not leaving yet. So basically you're saying he is going to leave. Just not yet. If that's the case, let us know. Give us a timeline so we can start preparing ourselves. I mean, that's only fair, man. Stop having every year these young men in limbo on that roster.
I mean, maybe he gave him to Coach Kelly. You know, Coach Kelly was trying to get an NFL job the whole time he was at Notre Dame.
Man, you're right. I guess you guys did go through that.
Yeah, so I wonder what that conversation was. I mean, he ended up staying, but I think it was because he couldn't get to that next level. You know, during the time, what was it? Chip Kelly got the Eagles job. I think Coach Kelly was interviewing too or something like that. So,
you know what's so funny? Because we're going to talk about whether or not in the second half of the show, we're going to talk about whether or not the Ravens should trade Lamar Jackson, because we talked about whether or not the Bears should trade Justin Fields. It's funny to me how people can trash Justin Fields and then turn around and say they need to trade him for a ransom. How can you call somebody trash and then think on the other end that they're going to get a lot back in trade value? That's not how that works.
That's not how that works.
That's not how that works. He's trash in my opinion.
Well.
But if they trade him, they're going to get a lot back. I'm just saying.
Well, technically, they did that to Roquan, and Roquan just got paid $100 million.
Well, they did. Well, first of all, the Bears kept it a buck. They told Roquan, "We're not paying you, bro." They told him an honest conversation, and they said, "Give us time, and we'll find a trade and a team that's willing to give you the money." And when they found the trade, they pulled the trigger.
You don't think it's the same situation as Justin?
Ryan Poles told him up front, "We're not paying you, dude. We're not paying you.
We're not paying you."
No, Roquan is a much better player than Justin Fields. Accomplished. If you want to talk about what he's actually done in the league.
Accomplished, yeah.
Heck yeah. So way too early top 25 left. You ready for this? Coming in at, just take a guess who's ranked number one.
Georgia, for sure.
Now,
by far.
Yo, the Ohio State Buckeyes come in at number 2. That's a lot of faith in a first-time starter, Cal McCord. Lot of faith. The Michigan Wolverines come in at number 3. I can see that with that bogus schedule. J.J. McCarthy, the offensive line. They picked up 3 offensive linemen in the transfer portal, so that line will probably be formidable once again. So, we'll see. The Florida State Seminoles at 4 left. That's the first time I say to myself, huh?
Yeah, didn't they lose a bowl game or something like that?
No, I think they won that bowl game at the end.
But 4 is kind of crazy. I think they really like Clay Travis down there at Florida State. Did you know that the final AP 25 coaches 825 came out? And we got to see where the coaches ranked all the teams in top 25.
What were your thoughts?
It was pretty good. I think Marcus Freeman put us way too low. He need to put us at 1. He put us back in behind Oregon. I saw a lot of us behind Oregon State, Oregon. But I think, honestly, if we play Michigan next year, I think we could beat them.
Honestly, if they played a series, Notre Dame probably, if they have a 5-game series, Notre Dame probably has a chance to beat Michigan twice.
What?
Look, dude, did you watch the Illinois game?
You said twice out of 5, though? We beat them more than that.
In a 5-game series? So basically you're saying they would win the series.
No, I'm saying we would win more than 2 games.
Okay. That's what I said, at least.
Oh, yeah. We at least win 2. At least win 2.
Now, the biggest thing is you got LSU, Oregon, USC. I don't know how you have Florida State in front of USC.
USC, I don't know that. I don't know.
TCU in the top 12. Come on, man. Like what?
They did that because they got them transfers.
Yeah. At least they have Notre Dame ranked in front of Clemson. Notre Dame comes in at 14. That's with Sam Hartman being added. So we're going to do something like in a couple of weeks. We're literally going to go back every Monday into the spring game. We're going to go back and look at every game and re-dissect every game from the 2022 season. Like we're going to watch it again, see if we come up with new things, look forward, and project from that and dissect those games. We're going to do it like every Monday leading up to the blue and gold game. And I think one of the things that's going to be extremely fun in doing so is the fact that Notre Dame, man, Notre Dame has this energy around it. And it's been there for like over a decade to where they match energy.
Yeah.
So if you have big energy, Notre Dame brings big energy. And if you have small energy, they match your energy. And that's something that I hope Marcus Freeman and this staff can change. Bring a more consistent enery.
A dominant energy.
Yeah.
Because we play to the level of whoever, though.
Yeah.
Maybe not a yet to be seen a Georgia or Alabama, but we play to the level of whoever else. I thought we played to the level of Ohio State. We just didn't finish and make the impact plays like we needed to. But we played to their level. We didn't go in there and just embarrass ourselves, So I think Marcus Freeman has a little bit of that in him, but he also showed that they're able to come back from things as well and have dominant type performances.
Absolutely.
But the dominant performances against teams that we should be scoring 45, 50 points on, hopefully that translates to a bigger opponent where we can, to play like Georgia in the championship beat a team 60-something to 7. That is the definition,
bro,
of in a championship game. That's supposed to be the second best team in the country.
Now, if they played a series, do you think that's how it will play out every game, or do you think that's just the anomaly of the series to where it just happened that way on that night?
Man, the way they looked against TCU, it was like TCU couldn't do anything. Georgia was running basic little bubble screens, basic runs. They wasn't doing no tricky nothing. We running right, running left, may throw a bubble, may throw a nice little pass here. And it's like TCU was playing catch up the entire game. They scored on every drive. And then the backups got in and scored every drive. If your backups is getting in and you're not missing, this is the championship game.
Right.
The backups are in there beating the other team starters.
Right.
The backup twos, the 2s and 3s that barely play consistently all season. outscored the starting offense on the championship opponents. That's the type of dominance I want to see from Notre Dame. Now, I don't know what we need to get into that bag, but
That's
maybe
a
Mark
different bag.
gotta turn his speeches up a little bit or something. Because man,
That's a different bag. That's a
that's a
different bag. That's a different bag, but that's a bag when you just stack, right? Like Kirby Smart has just stacked talent on top of talent on
like you've
top of
never
talent.
seen no stuff like that before.
No,
It was like Space Jam. It was all the Space Jam monsters versus the Peeny Weeny Looney Tunes. It was like Looney Tunes out there.
yeah,
He was. So if we can do that to an Ohio State next year, I know we winning it. I know we winning the whole thing.
yeah.
But we'll probably play it close because we on the rise. You know what I mean? But we need to be. I mean, good grief. Never have I ever seen no championship game for all the marbles. Now I seen you win comfortably. You win by like 10 or 14. They won by 40 plus. It's funny. It's funny.
Dude, it
So
wasn't just the greatest deficit in the history of the college football playoff. It was the greatest history in the history of college football in a game, bro. In the modern era, it was like it
yeah,
was. I couldn't believe, and we could put you might be able to put Kirby Smart on the petty train like for the rest of the year, for the entire year. Just
and
okay,
then after they did it, you know what they said? Oh man, team said we're gonna be 7-5. Ain't no way.
just being petty again. Like no one said you were gonna be 7-5. Like what are you talking about?
you, you, you see how y'all whooped up on them teams? Y'all talking about 7-5. Y'all put 75 on a team. Yeah, man. They put basketball numbers on them boys. Said they was
Bruh,
75. That's the biggest cap on the whole college football season. You almost
yeah,
ruined the football season saying that.
yeah. And as far as Florida State being 4, I understand on paper the hype, but look, until they're able to beat Clemson, you can't really respect them. Alabama's at 5, but Alabama, who's their quarterback? Penn
Mm,
State is at 6. Who's their quarterback?
mm. Boy,
US
okay, hold on now. Drew Alar from Penn
oh,
State. I like him.
first time starter left.
I like him
It's
though.
growing pains either way. Unless he comes in, unless he's Trevor Lawrence,
He might be. He
well,
might be
he
our
should have
guy.
started last year then if he was Trevor Lawrence.
You're right. But they ain't gonna
Now,
do Sean Clifford like they're gonna do
no,
Kevin
they're
Bryant.
not. USC should be higher, in my opinion. They should definitely be higher than Florida State.
They don't got no defense. Just imagine if SC made it to the playoffs and played Georgia.
Last I checked, left, they're still playing a Pac-12 schedule. You don't need
Pac-12
much.
not no joke now. You got
I
Dion,
know
you got Oregon, you got
Deion is not going to be ready this year. Not this year.
his son is quarterback, right? You never know. He might be better than he better than Bo Nix now.
And I think the quarterback, if I'm not mistaken, I think Utah got their quarterback. I think
Cam
Cam
Rising
Rising is
should do it
coming
better
back.
than him.
No, I'm just saying Utah is the kryptonite. Dude, Michigan to Ohio State is Utah to USC. It's the
Yes.
same
And
parallel.
damn near Oregon State is too.
Yeah, absolutely. I think
Oregon
they ended
State
up,
had them like 13-10 or something like
yeah.
that.
I think, didn't they pull it out late against
Mhm.
Oregon State? So Oregon, Tennessee, who's quarterbacking? Oh, Joe Milton is quarterbacking for Tennessee, right?
I give him a half a season.
But see, Joe Milton might be, you said you give him half a season. You
Yeah.
disrespectful.
He'll he don't have enough intangibles. But he got some big playability. But Half a season, I'll give it to him.
Lucky Lefty Podcast, Apple Podcast, Spotify. CFB Nation in conjunction with Irish Breakdown. Great content each and every day dropping. Even in the off season, we cover college football unlike anyone else. It's the Lucky Lefty Podcast. You already know we spin it different. The Washington Huskies at 11 is, dude, Michael Penix Jr.
I like Michael Penix
He put
Jr.
on a show, man. He very quietly put on a show in the Pac-12 last year. And Washington really came on. Huge win on the road against Oregon late in the season. So I'm cool with Washington hovering around 10-11. I'm cool with that. That's a solid forecast.
Yeah, shout out Michael Penix Jr., big fan.
TCU
See, that's a guy that transferred to Notre Dame. I can say we're winning it all.
Michael Penix Jr.?
Yes.
Really, you like him that much, left, huh?
I like him that much. I think we can win it all with Michael Penix. He's consistent enough. He's comfortable throwing that thing.
He's definitely comfortable throwing that thing.
Just imagine if we had a quarterback that was comfortable throwing the ball 30, 40 times a game. And then we throw in a crazy run game at Notre Dame with some receivers that's hungry. Man, we might be the best scoring offense of all time. With that offensive line, come on.
Like, I don't like the people that took a hard stance on him when he transferred from Indiana and were like, no. And I'm like, what's the problem?
What's the problem? He was good. He just got hurt.
Those are my thoughts. And then his offensive coordinator had left as well. So he's reunited with his offensive coordinator, and you see the numbers he puts up. And no one expected Washington to do what they did in the Pac-12. And then they play Texas in the bowl game. He lights Texas up. So it's like, what has Michael Penix Jr. showed you to make you take a hard stance?
Because he elevated a program how we want a program to be elevated. He went to Washington and made them better.
He definitely stepped up the offense. He definitely elevated the offense.
If we could get that from Sam Hartman, we'd be straight. If he can come in and rise us to top 5 spot, because only the quarterback can do that once you get in that top 15. Only the quarterback can make you go higher in the standings when you top 15. Because those are the 15 best quarterbacks. Unless you're Georgia. But, they quarterback, 6 touchdowns in the championship game. Probably won't be beaten for a while. He got the numbers, but good grief. Talking about a superstar dream team.
Man, look. It's one of those things where it's all about system and where you go, man. Like, careers for young men, specifically in college, are so fragile, man, especially at quarterback, man, because if you go to the wrong school, like Walker Howard, someone just asked about Walker Howard. Garland Doxy, thank you for tapping in as always. Garland Doxy said, what do y'all think about the Howard kid?
He went there for school not fit.
Exactly.
Like, and he didn't know Coach Kelly, man. You should have called me.
Absolutely. So, that's one of those things where you go to a school for whatever reason without it being the right fit or the right culture, especially the relationship between head coach, OC, quarterback coach for a young quarterback still developing is vitally important. Vitally important. And I don't know what much else to say about that. But Michael Penix, Left loves him. Left said he would have loved for him to show up at Notre Dame as a quarterback, and I understand if you have a preference, but like anyone taking a hard stance, like, nah, like, wait a minute. Like, people take a really hard stance. We know who George is going after, right? Like, literally, Spencer Sanders just waited. He just waited. Because most reports say it's Georgia, and Spencer Sanders, or Georgia's going to decide to stay with Beck. And people are like, I don't know. Wait a minute. You think Georgia can win a championship with the quarterback they just had, but they can't win with Spencer Sanders? Turning around, handing the ball off, and making plays is with the talent around them is, we'll see. I know I trust Todd Monken to develop just about any quarterback. Any quarterback. Lucky Lefty podcast. Corey Mays is going to join us momentarily, waiting for him to pop up on the video. But yeah, Left.
Yeah, I think sometimes quarterbacks go for the love of the school, like you see with a Drake May.
Yeah.
But Drake May also has Drake May talent.
Yeah.
And you can do that.
Yeah.
When you're talented like that. But then again, get kids like Jalen Daniels, who has more talent than a Walker Howard at this point.
Yeah.
So the transfer makes sense.
Yeah.
And then you add that with a coach that wants to win now. Coach Kelly ain't thinking about developing no Walker Howard. I could have told him that. If Walker Howard would have went in there ready to play day one, then he would have played. But if not, you're going to be waiting. So I'm not surprised by the move. And it goes back to don't go for the school. I mean, don't go for the school. Go for the fit. Walker Howard could have been starting somewhere in college football right now.
Facts. Lucky Lefty Podcast, Apple Podcast, Spotify, YouTube, Lucky Lefty Podcast, CFB Nation, in conjunction with Irish Breakdown, all about great content. That ends our conversation about the way too early top 25, Big Ten needing a new commissioner, and the Chicago Bears having a new team president, and Kevin Warren, who is a Notre Dame alum. Now, we go from one Notre Dame alum to another one. And normally, Left, on this show, somehow, some way, I get caught in between Ohio dudes. You being from Ohio and Notre Dame having a long list of guys, and we've had many guests on there from Ohio, and I have to hear you guys talk about Ohio. It is my indeed great pleasure today to bring on a brother who is from Chicago, like I am. He is a graduate of Notre Dame, a wonderful businessman. He's a former linebacker at Notre Dame, played in one of the probably the most classic game, not just in Notre Dame history, in college football history. Went to the NFL, played for 3 teams, had a really good career in the NFL before venturing off into business. And we like to welcome to the Lucky Lefty podcast none other than former Notre Dame linebacker Corey Mays. Corey,
what's going on, fellas? How you doing?
Man, we are doing great. And this is the only way I can start this interview, Corey, with this question.
What's going on?
Tell me what the first thing that comes to your mind when I say 1744 West Pryor Avenue.
Oh, baby, we talking about the Mustangs.
Yes, sir. All day, baby. All day. Let them know. Let them know, Corey. See,
that's such side of information they just wouldn't understand. You know?
They wouldn't understand. See, I told you, Lefty, you got to be a stain.
You got to be a stain.
No, umpy high, baby. Umpy high.
We on the good side of Vincent. You know, we can't talk about the other side where Simeon is. We on the good side.
Right. So, Corey, when you were being recruited to Notre Dame, I don't know if people know this, you were the first recruit to commit to Notre Dame out of the CPS since Chris Zorich.
Yeah.
Were you aware of the magnitude of your recruitment in Chicago at that point in time?
Not really. You know, you're in high school, you're 15, 16, 17 years old. I was 17 when I, reported as a freshman. You know, I don't understand the impact of any of that, the lineage, history of any of that. You know, you're just having fun playing football and getting rid of it. So, I knew about the blur, but I really didn't understand the impact of that and what that really meant because there was such talent in the CPS in Chicago. So to me, you have to think back and wonder, why so many people were either overlooked or didn't commit, Which is something in and of itself.
Yeah. So tell me about your recruitment. Who was your main recruiter, and what ultimately led you to choose Notre Dame?
Greg Madison was my recruiter. Really, what ultimately led me was because you're taking all your visits, you're talking to coach, and every kind of saying the same thing. You're going to be great. You're going to go to the league. Blah 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 blah. But Notre Dame kept talking about the alumni network and the education, and it was kind of one of the things that kind of stood out from the rest. And I kind of wanted to better myself. Well, the rest of my life, I figured football may not pan out or I get hurt in any play, but if I have an education and I have a net behind that education, I feel like that'd be the springboard for me for the rest of my life. Plus, I was some visits and I had much fun. And I don't know if I am disciplined enough after this particular school. And I wanted to ensure that whatever I was presenting, I knew that younger kids watching me, and I had to make sure I was a model and stepping back to the city with something positive. I couldn't just back home, feeling like a failure. Not to say that would have happened at any other school, but I felt like it was the right fit for me because I knew myself and what I needed to do and just be focused.
All right, Corey, we're having like an issue with your mic, I believe, and I want to make sure we get everything straight, man, because this is big time information. We haven't even gotten to the heart of everything we want to talk to. Maybe you can come out and come back in and test it out.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, everything good?
Yeah, it sounds better.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, that sounds better.
I might be kicking the cord. That's
okay.
probably was.
So I'll just let you know if it pops up again. Once again, Corey Mays, former Notre Dame linebacker, right here.
That's right.
On the Lucky Lefty podcast. Go ahead, Left, because I know you have some interesting questions as well.
Yeah, I definitely want to know, especially when you transition. I mean, like you said, your perspective going in was, it was so much bigger of an alumni, thinking about your life, thinking about football included. And during that time at Notre Dame, when was that change of your perspective where you can be like, okay, more business-minded, still football, but let me start really transitioning into that next level?
Well, I was, I thought it to be, a psychologist, a psychiatrist.
Hold on. It's still there. I want to make sure. It's still there.
I have no idea what is going on.
Yeah, it's like it's just a small reverb.
It's like a tick.
Echo tick, yeah. So I'm going to kick you from the studio and then try to come back into the studio and see if it can just.
Okay.
All right. 1 second. Kick him from the studio and then he's going to come back in LL because I want to make sure this dude is doing so much and he's one of the best ambassadors for what Notre Dame really preaches on the recruiting trail to young men, and to have him come on and talk about his transition going from, a public school, being a legendary public school recruit, and once he got there, then Notre Dame went and got a quarterback from Morgan Park 4 years later, to come in when Charlie Weiss was there. And unfortunately, he ended up transferring out to Cincinnati, if I'm not mistaken. All right, we'll try it one more time, see.
Is it better?
Yeah. That's better.
Okay.
So, no, like Malik was talking about your transition and when you recognize that Notre Dame, like, okay, it's not just football. I'm really going to tap in to this educational and business side to set myself up.
I think it's day one when you get there, you realize, the professionalism, everybody walking around, eating, my dad owns color blue, or my dad owns part of the Pacific Ocean, and you're like, damn, it really is a simple part. But I think that oftentimes, though, when you're there, you get you get practice, you get into going to class and get into kind of the routine and habit, right? You don't realize all the hours you're putting in that you're not going out job searching, that you're not going out to networking, business networking like the rest of the student population, and you're not going to job shadows and the internships, right? A lot of time is spent playing football. So kind of, you see a lot of guys that switch turns on toward that junior year, senior year when they feel like, man, it's, that hope, that gleam is dimming on you, right? So they really start serious. But I never felt like I wasn't serious about everything. I really felt like I wish I had more of that working component, because while you're there, you just kind of assume in the back of your mind that this will always be here. I'll always be able to reach somebody. I'll always have right here next to me. Like there's always these people around you, these resources. But once it's gone, it's gone. It's over, right? Like proper recruits, everybody else, the students that are here already, you're alumni, you got to go out into the world of your own thing now. So I think that's and they're trying to do a lot more of getting, kids engaged, they're making sure thinking about the future. But I think that I really I networked more and really built more relationships across the board. But when I back on it, is I think, well, how could I have done that? Being so dead tired at times and being, overwhelmed with a lot going on. We had, 4 head coaches, with 3.5 because one got fired in 5 days. So there was a lot going on while I was there. But I do challenge every student athlete now to just make time, right? You only have this short window, this 4 years to get what you need. 5 years or 6 years now with the COVID year. I don't know when that will end, but you only have this short window to get everything you need done for yourself, right? Because then the resources get cut off. The water runs dry. You got to figure it on your own. So for me, it's come in first and then be a professional day one.
So maybe you can try, because it came back as you were talking towards the end. Maybe you got headphones you can throw on, because maybe.
See, I got my ears in for my
you got those in
for my audio.
Man. Well, we're gonna rock out. Either way, it's not. Look, we can deal with it.
Somebody's advertising.
Yeah, the fans are like, man, let them rock, let them talk. So everybody's ready to deal with it because they love having you on right now. We love the conversation. Once again, former Notre Dame linebacker Corey Mays, former NFL linebacker, right here with us on the Lucky Lefty podcast. You already know Shaun Davis, Malik Zaire. We spin it different. You talked about the different coaches you went through and the different transitions, and it ends up culminating in 2005, right? Which, going back and researching and watching games last night, Corey, man, you guys were literally 2 plays away from having a perfect regular season. Like in the moment, I'm like, man, but watching the games last night, I'm like, yo, this one play against Michigan State, this one play against USC, this team was literally 2 plays away from being perfect in 2005. Like, just talk about it in retrospect when you were in the midst of it, and like hearing that told to you again right now. Like, how does that make you feel?
You know what? 2005 was a great season. It was a lot of fun. It was a great way to end my career there. There was so much going on from freshman year to that time, right? Freshman year, you start 0-3. You got 9/11. Obviously, 9/11 is another animal. It was just, Hitch gets fired at the end of the season. They hire a new coach. He gets fired 5 days later, and then you had a new head coach hired from Willingham, and that was all before Christmas break was over. So to have that final season, to go in every game, feel like we were going to win that game, and feel confident, and and see guys grow, see talent grow around. It was an amazing, and it was special. Loved every minute of it. Loved every play. Michigan had a season back, to do it over again. But man, amazing.
What was that linebacker room like during that time? What was the vibe, the culture like? Because you look at a Notre Dame linebacker room right now that's young with a lot of talent, but what did y'all have that got y'all on the same page in that room?
I'll be honest with you. We were young then too. I mean, it was myself and Hoy were the older in the room, and then everybody else was young. And the problem was, there wasn't a lot of development behind us, right? There wasn't a lot of getting guys to grow. And I felt like that was an Achilles heel of Notre Dame at that time as well, right? Not getting guys playing time, not developing them, not having them grow. And I know it's different from different positions, but now, I mean, you're addressing the linebacker room now. It just kind of seems a lot of technique stuff, right? You're blitzing and running straight down the lineman, or they're running, blitzing and they're turning a body and creating a hole. So a lot of those things you can get corrected. You can't get corrected like getting pushed in the face and driven 5 or 6 yards. Like, I mean, you can get an all season in the weight room, but it's got to be something in here. They call that heart, toughness, little grit. None of that you can fix, but it's a first year defense too. So young guys, first year defense, you're trying the right fit. But I tell you what, as long as they can run, they have speed. You can teach them and put them in the right position. But also you have to make sure your coaches are teachers, right? So you talk about the linebacker room. Are you a teacher? Are you really learning in the defense? Or are you out there guessing every play or every game? Because as a fan now, all our football experience and knowledge up to this, you can tell somebody doesn't know what they're doing on the field, right?
You can tell.
I'll play get you. One play, or they come out running a different offense or a different scheme, but it's fourth quarter, if you still know what you're doing. Hell, the first, you're like, you don't know this defense, and you see that with missed tackles, being out of position, all those things which are consistent, you know that you're not where you're supposed to be, because that's always usually 1-2 yards where you're supposed to be. You're missing a tackle or they're lunging. Unless you're playing, it is college football. All the guys are athletes, but we athletes too now. So I mean, it's a different ball game where you know where you're supposed to be and where you get fitted. And I think another year in, they got a lot of linebackers on that staff, at least 2 or 3.
At least
linebackers I know of. That should be a point of emphasis, right? That's your leadership on the defense. You can get that shored up, especially young guys. But like Jalen seeing his aggression, but he's gonna have to dial that down.
He's gonna have to dial it back.
But you know what? You're aggressive, not scared. That's what you want to see. You want to see young guys get out there and not be scared. Because everybody's mental is different on game day. Go out there. Are you nervous? Are you just gonna run and hit somebody? At least 200 miles per hour. Don't be tiptoeing.
Yeah. So, October 15th, 2005, arguably one of the greatest games in the history of college football. You guys come out warm-ups. You're ranked 9th. You're going up against probably one of the most legendary teams in the history of college football. They're going for a three-peat. They're ranked number 1 in the nation. Charlie Weiss takes you guys in the locker room. When did you know you guys were going to be rocking the green jersey? When did you find out?
You know what's funny about that day? We came out of Silica. Energy that was a 5th year senior. So I hadn't seen that much energy, I think, since they played NASCAR. I went to that game my senior year of high school. I mean, that energy on campus was crazy. They were taking USCC's bus. It was so much energy going on. I remember going out for the game, for the pregame warm-up, and my jersey had a little tear. And I remember telling the manager, "Hey, I got a tear on my jersey." He said, "Yeah." It was kind of like, they usually give attention to that, but it was kind of like, yeah, we'll get it fixed. I was like, all right, whatever. And we finished warming up. You sweaty. You come back in. You walked in the locker room, and you're around. And all of a sudden, you see all these green jerseys hanging up in the locker. Went crazy. So much energy, and I almost want to cry right, man. It was so much energy going on. We were so hyped. We just knew that day, like we were lose. Right?
Yeah.
And you think about the last 3 years, previous seasons, just completely embarrassing, right? Yeah. Completely embarrassing to step at field. And we had to make sure we came out of there with a win that day.
That's real.
So I mean, you couldn't match energy ever again the way it was in there. Like I wish everything is taped now, everything is recorded now. I wish that was what it.
Yeah.
It was crazy, man.
Hell yeah.
I have to ask, bro, how different especially playing linebacker. How different was Reggie Bush, bro?
Oh, he was. He's giving back his money. He earned it. Is
Facts.
his. Like, give it back to him. That's all I can say about that. It's nothing but respect. And I remember we played the game 2005. I was a hole opened up. I stepped in. He stepped back out. By the time I closed my arms for the tackle, luckily it was only like a our game. He like stepped and went around the other way.
He saw you and said,
And
"No, I'm gonna back up."
I've seen nothing like it. Like I moved under him, and my, I was willing. But the thing was, we were watching him. The next day, and the linebacker coach says 99.9% linebackers in a row would look exactly the same way.
Yeah,
I
it's
knew,
like,
it's just like, usually, you're gonna get toasted in
Right.
the film room. He said anything. So I was like, okay. But he was, man, what a tremendous athlete with tremendous career, and he was that guy.
Yeah.
He is him. I mean, and that's what you love to play against. That's the challenge you want. So that's what you want. But he was that.
And you talk about it too. Football's very much so a game of inches. But what have you learned about business? Which is more of a game of inches, business or football that you've seen so far?
Right. Because you have the business on the field and you have the business off the field, right? So for me, getting to the business off the field, that's really kind of two meanings, right? Business off the field and business itself, and business off the field and the business of football, right? So off the field, right? All the behind the scenes. So I think everything is about patience, right? So it's not like the play clocking and you got to get back up to the line and hurry up and do this, do that, right? I learned in business that somebody says weeks, I would be on the door up to the second 2 weeks. Do you have what I asked for? And then all these excuses or all this area and all different things. And I think that was the hardest for me transitioning, out of sports.
Because you used to it's got to be urgent.
You say you got the A gap, you say you got the slack, you got to have that, right? Yeah. If you don't, we're going to go over it in film. You're going to be criticized, you're going to be corrected, you're going to learn, you're going to be taught, right? All these different things. Right? So, well, in business was like there was nobody there to correct you, nobody there to tell you like, you're dead wrong or you didn't do this. So I think that was this thing. And you can't go tackle somebody.
Yeah, you can't tackle
them when they're talking crazy. They will arrest you. We'll take you to jail. They will press charges. So for me, it was just learning to kind of just all that down and just be patient, and just all right, it's a process, it's a step. But you think back to football off season, those winter workouts, walking across that campus, 7 to snow, everybody still getting near for the end, but you're going to winter workouts. Then you got spring ball, then you got some workouts, then you got two of these. There's a whole process that's just you to put on a jersey that first game day, right? And so you got to keep reminding yourself it's a daily process, right? This isn't overnight. You got to build it. You got to build it. Although some people it's good to be lucky, right? Some people are lucky and they're able, have some overnight success, but that's far and few between, right?
Yeah.
For the most part, everybody is grinding. It's day to day. So I think that also now, because I do the I'm uniform inspector for the Bears home games.
So you really on that.
Yeah, really seeing the background of things, because I started doing the 2020 season 2020, and it was so eerie. There was no fans in there. They've been pumping some sound to third or fourth game. It was just like a out at the park watching some really, really big kids play football.
Yeah.
So it was cool to see the behind the scenes, to see the marketing, to see the TV people, to see, the media people, to see all these things that, players just don't notice, on game day. And I tell, young athletes now, even professional athletes, walk into that stadium and look around and see how many business you see act going right now. You see sponsorship. Somebody had to make those seats. Somebody make those jerseys. Somebody has to take care of that grass. You know, somebody's doing meat. Somebody's doing marketing. Somebody has to make food. How did the food get there? You know, like there's so much going on. There's so many people exchanging numbers and information and, you know, commerce, right? So I think that's the end piece for you know, student athletes to recognize now, especially with that NIL business, that you are walking, talking through business, right? Everything is legal, you know, so, you know, take advantage of what you can in a smart way. Take advantage of your brand and make sure that your company name, your first and last name isn't tainted, right? You don't want anybody report better business, right? You want to make sure that everything you're doing is above board and on point, you know?
That's right.
But yeah.
Man, so you're one of the best ambassadors, and I've been saying this all week when we were telling people that you were going to be on the show. I'm like, man, you follow him. You know, he plays football at Notre Dame, played one of the most legendary games in college football history. Then he comes out, right? And then he's undrafted, and he ends up getting taken by the world champion New England Patriots, and he gets to play under Bill Belichick. He gets to play with Tom Brady, and he plays with two other teams in the NFL. And he leaves the NFL, and then you start to see the benefits of Notre Dame and why they say 4 for 40 or 4 for forever when they're talking to young men on the recruiting trail. I said, look, there's no better ambassador for what Notre Dame really means to a young man when he matriculates through there than that dude Corey Mays. Of course, my fellow Mustang had to throw that on you, but man, you are truly one of the greatest ambassadors for what Notre Dame truly does for an individual on and off the field.
I appreciate that. I mean, to be honest with you, I look at the teammates that I graduate with and with me and after, they're just, they're absolutely killing it. So I just feel like a little peon sometimes, but you know, you can't do that compare and contrast game, you know, but that's as an athlete, right? You're always, damn, why didn't I invent the internet? You know, I'm working hard enough. So that's something that you're always gonna have to fight against, and you know, that competitive nature. I appreciate it. I think that, you know, this is what we put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into this, right? And you know, that university was able to leverage you, so you have to be able to leverage back, for the real life, right? If you say for 40, that's really mean that, you know. And there's a lot of ground you got to do yourself, but stand behind the logo, stand by it, right? It's already there. Like I was telling kids before, you've never ever had to go out market and put out flyers for gay, right? You have a machine behind you already. So make sure you're trying to use that machine when you're done with the game. And it isn't always right. You got some alumni knows maybe, you know, way in the air, or, you know, however it may be. And, you know, but that's just life, right? You navigate and get through it. You know, don't take it personal. And I think a lot of people take things personal. As I did when I was younger, right? But if you know everybody's the right fit for you, not every situation is the right fit for you. Even though you may feel ready, or you feel like you're ready, you know, just move on, keep moving. And I think that's the thing you want to do as as an ambassador. Just keep moving forward with whatever you have in your life, and just believe in yourself. But at the end of the day, if you don't use resources there, however you feel about it, you know, it's still going to be on you, because whatever gripes, whatever grievances you have, however you mad at so and so this way, they didn't do that, the coaches did this, administration did that, whatever the case may be, there's so many people that have no idea what you're talking about, or what that has to do with them, right? So just go ahead and get right back to it. You know, it isn't easy. You got to drop that and have some humility, but you got to jump back into it, right? Use it like you were used, right? You sign that document, you sign the contract. So help make sure they fulfill their part of the bargain as well. You know,
Yo, from 9/11 to coaching changes and culture shifts, greatest college football game in history of college football, to NFL player, and now to philanthropist, businessman. Everything you're doing with the NFL and the Chicago Bears, we salute you. You got a new president today. That was announced. Kevin Warren left the Big Ten. He's the new president of the Chicago Bears. So, man, we'll see how that changes things. But
I got one
continue.
more question for you.
Yeah,
I got one more question.
absolutely.
Yeah.
It's important because a lot of times, you were playing on the big stage, and then when you were done playing on the big stage, staying relevant. How important is it about staying relevant, staying your name buzzing after you get done playing, and how it relates to transitioning to business?
Hmm.
It's super important, right? Times we kind of think there's layers to that, right? It's like if you don't get to the next level, and then as if you do make the next level. So it's layers in that. But what you can do is start building it while you're playing. I think that's the most important thing to do. And like I said before, I wish I had done it more, because you just kind of feel like, oh, this will always be around, or always know my name, relevant for the
For
moment. But
real.
it's not true, right? So some people, yeah, they will always have that, and they'll always have that electricity around them, and it is what it is. But what you have to do is make sure that you are involved in the community. You are involved, whether that's you're volunteering, or whether that's you're involved politically. You're making sure that you're kind of making your stamp right in people's minds, and not necessarily something selfish. Is something that you are giving back, and you're making sure that people remember that, right? Because you love what you do. And I think it's important for you when you go into business that people understand, who you are, right? And I think we get intimidated sometimes as athletes. You're 17, 19 years old. You're like, why would I meet with the president of the university, or prominent alumni, or the trustee, or whoever these people are? And it's like, well, they're there. You're on campus too, right? You have every right. Whether you can catch up with them or get a meeting, whatever the case may be, is yourself known, is introduce yourself and make sure you're getting in front of their face, right? So I think that's the imperative part, that don't just off season, if you get to the league, you're lucky, just spend your off season partying, right? Make sure you're taking advantage of the resources they have. Like they have, like when I was playing, I did the Harvard, the Wharton. They had these business who's tied in with the league, and it was really cool because you were able to network and meet with different peers across the league and educated too, right? So I think that part of trying to be relevant, actually doing something. You can't sit around feeling bad for yourself, right? Because everybody goes through that transition of leaving football, and and there's that sadness, there's that pain. But I implore everybody, don't go into isolation, right? And it's easy to do that, right? Get there, make sure you're pushing your name, pushing your company, because you're competing against 7 billion other people in the world, to eat a day, to drink, to have housing, whatever the case may be, to put some clothes on your back, right? So every day that you're out here, you need to make sure that you're doing and that's moving yourself in a positive manner, and you're affecting others in a positive manner, right? And you can't, the world, don't try to, just focus on your niche and get what you need to do, right? But keeping your name right, keeping your name buzz is being around the right people. And you just got 365 days, 168 hours in a week. Utilize them, write out a plan, write out to meet people and be somewhere and be likable, right? Nobody likes an a-hole. Nobody likes somebody as well, right? If you ask for advice, follow up, take it. Don't just have people's numbers. Don't use it. Like actually utilize people when they offer help. And that's the hardest part. A lot of us as athletes, we're used to doing it on our own. We are entrepreneurs by nature, right? Because you got to go work out. You got to take care of your. You're selling yourself. That may sound bad, but you're selling yourself as a product on that field every day. You watch film, you have to show you find and tweak things to change your business up to make sure that it sells, right? You sell yourself by getting on that field and plays and making it a difference, right? People find value in those who can make a difference. So just keep that name going, and it's so much easier for players now, because all the social media buzz, or you can start your own platform. Like there's so much. Like when they started doing that podcast 2 years ago, there's so much stuff now. Like it will be for fun. Like you just couldn't do that. You didn't have the leverage. You just couldn't do that. Like you can walk away with a couple of 100,000, or even a couple of million followers now, and being able to convert that and do something with it. But it's daily work. You have to get out there and be lucky sometimes to run into the right people and have some breaks go your way. Just working, and that might be a very long-winded answer, but I just want to make sure that people understand that it's a grind, right? It just doesn't happen overnight.
Yeah, that's great, man. Staying relevant is important, man, for sure. Good answer.
Yo, he just dropped some pearls right there, man. Corey Mays, former Notre Dame linebacker, current man. The fact that he is a uniform inspector, and you go back to the story we talked about his jersey was ripped in that game against USC.
Hey, you never know. I'll let him know
Right?
where he's at now. Look.
Look at where he's at now, Corey. Thank you so much for joining us, man. We want to have you back on, man, because I really, when we start breaking down the linebackers going into the spring, I want to get your expertise on what you've seen from some of these young guys.
Okay. Anytime.
All right. Once again, thank you, Corey. We'll talk to you soon, man.
All right, guys. Thank you.
Thanks, brother.
Go Irish.
Yes, sir.
Right.
Former Notre Dame linebacker, Corey Mays, my fellow Morgan Park alum, Umpy High all day. We put you in that Chicago mix, baby.
Yeah, I mean, I felt Chicago bleeding out the airways.
You're darn right. You're darn right. We make you feel good. We give you that Justin Fields love, right? Well, we tell you, man, we love you. We love you. We appreciate you. You the best. But that accuracy, though. You got to work on that accuracy.
What do you think he was thinking when he heard that, man?
Well, Justin Fields is from where? Georgia?
He's from Georgia.
He probably just took it as a different type of hospitality.
Everybody's an analyst up here.
Yeah, it's hospitality either way. Just a different type. Man, what stood out from you? What stood out in that conversation? And we apologize, LL Nation, man. We tried to figure it out on the run. And hopefully when he comes in, because I love what he said about Jalen Sneed. He's obviously watching the young linebackers at Notre Dame in the linebacker position when he watches the games. I love what he said about Jalen Sneed, and he was spot on. He was absolutely spot on, so I can't wait to have him back on and talk more about Notre Dame and the linebackers as we go into spring. But what he said about Jalen Sneed really stood out to me, and that last question you posed, Left, it really pulled some gems from him.
Oh, yeah. I mean, especially thinking about he played almost 10, 12 years ago. And for him to still be a relevant name to this day at all events, and guys in the class now know Jalen Sneed probably knows him. So to be in the minds of the young guys, that's truly an alumni, in my opinion, truly one of those networking where you want to stay connected to the older guys that's been there, done that you pull stories from and different things. And a lot of that is on the player themselves to stay relevant.
Yeah.
So a lot of guys don't know really how to do that because they've been on the titty of successful football, but they don't last forever. You got to transition and stay relevant. I think he's done a fantastic job at that.
Man.
Anytime he can drop some jewels on how to do that, I think it's important.
But, bro, when you start talking about I never really looked at, and as a fan, it gives me a different point of view to have more profound respect for how things move, not before you get to school, right? I'm talking about when you're actually part of the program. Like, these players are selling themselves every day to the coaching staff, to the fan base, to the people they go to class with. You're constantly selling yourself, in the classroom, that you're more than just an athlete at Notre Dame. You want that respect. You're selling yourself to the coaches that, hey, I can do this. I can be a playmaker, a game changer. And I never looked at that. So the business model standpoint of looking at things at Notre Dame that he spit right there, that was good stuff.
Definitely good stuff, man. Got to have him back on, especially breaking down them linebackers this year.
Man, absolutely. Lucky Lefty Podcast, Apple Podcast, Spotify, CFB Nation in conjunction with Irish Breakdown. It's Lucky Lefty Podcast. You already know. We spin it different. Before we get out of here, Left, you trading Lamar Jackson, bro? Is the Baltimore Ravens?
They'd be a fool.
Ravens?
It's crazy how they extended Josh Allen without even getting to the deadline.
Man,
now they pressing the line on the guy that won MVP.
Why are you always going at Josh Allen, man?
It's a comparative value because they say Lamar, they're not paying him because he has potential to get hurt because of his style of play. But Josh Allen's style of play is way more volatile, and they pay him, no question. No question. He ain't got no MVP. He don't got more playoff wins than Lamar. So what are we talking about? What are we talking about? What are we talking about? What is Baltimore and scored over 17 points without him? And they still don't know. Okay.
My brother, that cat Josh Allen is living rent free.
No, he's not. No, he's
Inside
not.
your head, bro.
Because they put so much out there about Josh Allen, the overhyped cloud, and I just gotta rein it in. Just rein it in. He's just a guy. He ain't Joe Burrow, but you know.
Yo, the overhyped cloud, man. You know what's ridiculous that I'm about to throw on the petty train? Roger Goodell in the NFL. I can tell you right now, they're definitely leading off the petty train. Bro. Great show today. The Onora boys, we appreciate you, LL Nation, but you know what time it is.
Petticoat, petticoat, petticoat junction.
It's time to get petty.
Oh, we did a good job executing.
Are you upset with something?
And fire up the Petticoat Junction train.
I just don't like you.
You don't?
No.
What is today's petty historic? Petty Junction.
Petty Junction, pettiest story of the day, brought to you by Onora Whiskey. OnoraWhiskey.com, that premium America whiskey, OnoraWhiskey.com. NFL's mad petty, man. Look here, man. I understand what happened. Dude, Damar Hamlin took precedent over everything. But this whole, if Buffalo wins.
Is he a war hero? The way they've been acting, I don't understand. Like, did he go to Afghanistan and get Saddam Hussein himself?
Left. You're about to go in a different direction. I already know where you're going. Pause. I'm not even going in that direction. I understand what you're saying, but I'm not going in that direction. I want to stay on task. What I'm talking about is the NFL figuring that it was a great idea to make the AFC Championship game at a neutral site in Atlanta, for a team that's in New York and another team that's in the Midwest. So now fans have to travel to Atlanta for a neutral site because it's unfair to Buffalo that if they win, it's like, come on, man. It's like, relax.
See, they trying to do anything they can for Buffalo.
Dude,
I don't understand
look, just flip a coin, man. It's that simple. Get both teams on the line and say, look, it's an unfortunate situation. We probably would have been tied. So what we're going to do, we're going to flip a coin to see who gets the home game. It is what it is, dude. Why would you make fans get on the road? Then they got to get back on the road and go to the Super Bowl after the championship game?
The fans got to get on the road game. The fans got a road game.
Roger Goodell, NFL. Idiots. It's the dumbest thing ever. A simple penny could have solved the situation. A simple penny. But now you want to put money in Arthur Blank's hands. And his concessions get paid.
Because they feel bad for Atlanta because they're trash.
Dude.
They ain't worth nothing right now.
It's the dumbest thing ever, bro. And then it's just dumb, man. It's ridiculous. I can't believe that they thought somebody sat in the room and said, you know what? You know what we should do? We should go ahead and play it just like they play the CFB National Championship.
Because it got great ratings.
It got great ratings. That'll be great. Like, you're goofy, man. Just goofies. All right, Mike Budenholzer, coach of the Milwaukee Bucks, my man.
Just late, what'd you think of Javon and Drew's?
Bruh, look at this.
Late.
Let me set this up. Coach B is at the press conference. They put a Dasani water on the table for him to drink. And Coach B, look at his face, Lev. This is like the worst advertisement for Dasani, bro.
Just late. What'd you think of Javon and Drew's ability?
It was so bad he had to hand it over. Like, get this off of me. I don't need to sit around.
Bro. L question today: is Dasani water terrible? Does it taste terrible?
Oh my goodness.
I'm an Ice Mountain dude. I really don't get into the Dasani. Coach Bud, we got to put you on the petty train, my man.
Yeah. Look at him.
Look at Javon and Drew's.
Oh shit.
Javon and Drew's ability.
Give me some orange juice. Stat.
Bro, that man, he made it face like, oh my God.
And it's crazy because it's water. How water tastes bad?
It was so bad. He was like, man, get this away from me.
Yeah.
He didn't even want to put it on the table. Just
said, He almost ruined my press conference eating that, drinking that.
Man, Coca-Cola probably didn't like that video being viral. They probably didn't like it. Tomorrow, don't forget, For the Culture Friday, and Thomas Harper, the newest nickel safety on Notre Dame's roster, is going to join us at 11:30, man. For Left, I'm Shaun Davis. Thank you, LL Nation. We do it for you. We'll see you tomorrow for another edition of the Lucky Lefty podcast. Have a great Thursday, but most of all, you got to make sure that you spin it different.